What we are going to focus on now is tempera painting, which was very popular at the very beginning of the Renaissance period. In the early part of the Renaissance up until almost the end of 1400s, all Italian painters who were making portable paintings rather than ones painted directly on the wall used tempera paint on wood panel. Oil and canvas, those materials weren't really used widely until the almost 1500s. This kind of tempera painting could be art pieces, could be painting in private setting, could be portrait. All these paintings were on wood panel, and the wood in Italy was always popular wood. Artists couldn't paint directly on top of the wood due to the main problem is that the wood is absorbent. So if they painted directly on the surface of the wood, the pigment would be absorbed like a sponge, and you would really see the wood almost more than the paint itself. They had to prepare the surface of the wood to make it completely smooth and completely non-absorbent. For this, they used something called gesso, which is like a liquid plaster that artists still use today. The paint was relatively expensive, partly because of the process of making the paint that you were going to use. The gesso was inexpensive, and it was preparatory stages that enabled them to paint on the wood panel. The gesso was essentially white or off-white. They would sometimes do drawing underneath with chalk or something like a crayon or a pencil. Tempera paint is an egg-based paint. The pigment would come from minerals or plants or something, even insects. Painting by Filippo Riffi is a tempera painting on wood panel. We should add that once they had their pigment ground up, they mixed it together with egg yolk, and that actually created the paint itself. Egg yolk had a good consistency, and it was very strong, and it would adhere very nicely to the gesso prepared wood panel. So if it was prepared correctly and then maintained well, it would actually last a very long time and the colors wouldn't change it. It was very stable. On the other hand, had certain physical properties that lead to it being used a particular way. For instance, egg tempera paint is not transparent, and it also dries very quickly, and it's very hard to blend on the surface of the painting. So if you want to have a shading and transition from the light to dark or from the color to another, you can place this on color down, then put the next color next to it and try to mix them together, because by the time you are putting your second color down, the first one is already drying and they would mix together very well. It's probably dried on the brush actually. People have to work quickly and they have to develop special technique in order to achieve the effect that they want to get. It was really difficult to blend from light into shadow or from one color into another. What artists did was they would lay one color down and then they would place these very thin fine lines of another color on top of that. If those thin fine lines were very close together, you would see mostly the color on top. From a distance, you don't even see those lines. It just looks like a nice, even gradation from one tone into another. But when you look closely, you can see that hatching, and you can see the way that the artist achieved the effect. Here you can really see it on the chest of the young woman.